Okay, let's jump right in. Today we're going to talk about a huge challenge that so many organizations are dealing with, even if they don't call it by this name. It's the GRC operating model gap. We're going to break down what that even means, why it costs so much, and, walk through a structured way to actually fix it.
And we're starting right here, because this quote just gets to the absolute heart of the problem. This isn't about people not trying hard enough. It's about not having a real system in place. If this quote feels familiar, trust me, you are not alone.
We've all seen this, right? The giant policy binder that just collects dust, that maze of spreadsheets trying to track every risk and control, and all these different teams working their tails off on their own little piece of the puzzle. Everyone means well, but the whole approach is just scattered.
And that's the gap right there. Without a shared system, there's no single source of truth. It's like, who actually owns this risk? How do we prove, for real, that this control is doing its job? And maybe most importantly, how does a leader give a clean, confident answer to the board when they ask? This is where all those good intentions start to break down.
This isn't just some process headache. This gap, it has real, painful consequences for the business. Let's take a closer look at why these disconnected systems end up creating some seriously expensive problems. It really just boils down to this one word, expensive. We're talking expensive in wasted hours, in duplicated effort, in those frantic fire drills right before an audit. And in the worst-case scenario, it's expensive in fines or breaches because a risk just fell through the cracks. This gap hits the bottom line, hard. So what's the alternative here? How do you get from that kind of chaotic state to something that's way more structured and repeatable? Let's dig into what a real solution built for modern teams actually looks like.
So one great example of this kind of structured approach is a resource called GRC Pros. It's basically designed from the ground up to be a go-to resource for the folks right there on the front lines, your CISOs, IT managers, and all the GRC pros.
Now here's what's so cool about this approach. It's focused on reality. This isn't some dusty, old-school theory. It's a system built for how businesses actually run today. You're in the cloud, you depend on a ton of vendors, and it feels like everyone is looking over your shoulder all the time.
So how does a system like this actually close that gap we were just talking about? Well, it's usually built on a few core pillars of value that lead directly to real-world results. Let's walk through 5 of them.
Okay, first up, leadership insight. This is all about changing the conversation. Instead of just talking about vulnerabilities, you learn how to translate that tech speak into actual business impact. It helps you get away from what some people call status theater and lets you deliver clear, executive-level updates that actually drive decisions.
Pillar number 2 is all about execution. This is not high-level, fluffy stuff. We're talking practical, step-by-step playbooks, setting up operating rhythms, and building the muscle memory for things like collecting evidence. The whole point is to be ready for an audit at any time and get everyone on the same page. Oh, this next one is a huge pain point for so many people. Framework translation. How do you take something super dense like NIST or ISO 27001 and turn it into plain English that your engineering team can actually use? This pillar is all about that, and the super powerful idea of build once, comply many, so you're not constantly reinventing the wheel for every audit. And of course, GRC is a total team sport, right? So pillar 4 is about creating a shared language for security, IT, compliance, and engineering. When everybody's speaking the same language, suddenly prioritization gets better, handoffs are cleaner, and you have way fewer of those last-minute, all-hands-on-deck emergencies. And finally, it all comes together in a modern knowledge base. Just think of it like an on-demand coach your team can turn to for deep dive guides and real-world examples. It's all about making them better at making smart, defensible decisions, especially when the pressure is on. So for any teams out there who are looking to standardize how they do things, a resource like this is a massive opportunity to really level up their execution and just raise the bar for everyone. And hey, if you're thinking this might be a good fit for your team, there's actually a special offer happening right now, a limited-time group subscription discount for 2026. Let's just break down the numbers. Normally, it's $1,000 a year for one person. With this discount, that price drops to $800 a year per person. That's a solid 20% savings on each seat for the whole year. And you can see how that adds up pretty quickly. For a team of 5, that's $1,000 back in your budget. For a bigger team of 25, you're looking at $5,000 in savings. So what do you actually get for that? Well, the paid membership tier gives you everything. We're talking unlimited access to the entire archive of playbooks, all the downloadable templates, and all those deep dive guides we were just talking about. It's basically everything a team needs to start closing that GRC gap. Now, it's really important to know that this is a temporary thing. The offer is active right now, but it's set to expire at 11:59 p.m. on March 1st, 2026. So if this is something you're thinking about for your team, now's definitely the time to look into it.
Which really brings us all the way back to the main question here. It doesn't matter what tools or resources you end up using, the GRC gap is a real thing. So the question I want to leave you with is this: how is your organization going to get past the spreadsheets and start building a real shared system for GRC?